What if I told you that Lucifer and Azazel waged a battle for ultimate supremacy in the depths of the abyss? What if the war in heaven was only the beginning? A war not just of strength, but of deception, ambition, and the remnants of celestial power. What if Lucifer, the fallen morning star, was not the only one vying for dominion? Another outcast, Azazel, the watcher who defied the heavens, rose to challenge him for the throne of hell itself. Who would emerge as the true ruler of the fallen? And what would it mean for the eternal struggle between light and darkness? Stay with me as we uncover the ultimate battle for the underworld. A battle that may have shaped the unseen war raging around us to this day. Welcome, dear viewers, to Divine Bible Stories. If you seek the hidden battles, the untold mysteries, and the forbidden conflicts buried within the pages of Scripture, then subscribe now, like this video, and share it. Because what you're about to hear may change how you see the forces of good and evil forever. Before the fall, before the rebellion, there were two beings, both powerful, both glorious, but each destined for darkness. And then there was Azazel, not a cherub, not an archangel, but a leader among the watchers, those who descended from heaven and took mortal women as their own. His knowledge defied the will of the Almighty, and for that, he was condemned. Two fallen beings, two destinies intertwined. But could their paths have crossed in a struggle for dominion over the abyss? Could Azazel have challenged Lucifer himself? Stay with me as we unravel this hidden battle, one that may have shaped the unseen war between light and darkness. But the glory of Lucifer was not enough for him. Perfection was not enough. Power was not enough. Deep within his being, something festered, something dangerous, a desire, a hunger. Lucifer looked upon the throne of the Almighty and saw not a sovereign to serve, but a seat to claim. The very heavens trembled as whispers spread among the angelic hosts. Some were horrified, yet others listened. Could it be? Could Lucifer, the most exalted among them, truly ascend? His words were poison, seeping into the hearts of those who longed for more. Why should we serve when we could rule? Why bow when we could rise? One by one they pledged their allegiance, 10, 50, 1,000, 10,000. An army of the rebellious stood behind him, ready to challenge the throne of the Almighty. And then the day came. The skies above heaven darkened as the morning star, once the most beautiful of all creation, marched against his Creator. The host of heaven, angels of perfect splendor, stood divided. On one side, the loyal, led by Michael, the warrior of God. On the other, the rebels, led by the Prince of Pride himself. The battle was furious. The cries of clashing angels rang through the heavens, swords of divine fire flashing as chaos erupted. But Lucifer had made a grave miscalculation. None can stand against the power of the Almighty. With a word, the decree was given. A flash of uncontainable light. A force so great it split the very firmaments. Lucifer fell, his army fell with him. Cast from the heights of heaven, they plummeted like falling stars down, down into the abyss. And thus, he became what we now know as Satan, the adversary, the prince of darkness, the one who opposes all that is holy. But the story does not end here. For in the shadows of another realm, another being was watching, one who had also defied the Most High, one who had also been cast down, Azazel, and in the smoldering depths, where fallen angels whispered of lost thrones and broken dominions, a question arose. If Lucifer had lost heaven's throne, could he at least claim hell's? And if so, would he have to fight for it? For in the underworld there could be only one ruler, And Azazel was not one to submit. A second war was about to begin, one that the scriptures have long kept hidden. Stay with me as we uncover the forgotten battle, Lucifer versus Azazel, the ultimate war for Hell's throne. But while Lucifer's fall was one of pride and ambition, Azazel's descent was one of desire and corruption. He was not merely cast out, he chose to fall. Azazel was one of the Watchers, mighty angels assigned to observe humanity. But as he gazed upon the world, he became fascinated by mortals, captivated by their beauty, their struggles, their potential. And then, he wanted more. He and others like him, 200 in all, made a pact, a solemn oath that bound them together in defiance. No longer would they remain distant overseers. No longer would they suppress their forbidden cravings. They descended from the heavens, stepping upon the great summit of Mount Hermon, their rebellion sealing their fate forever. Azazel took the lead, not just indulging in sin, but spreading it like a plague. He revealed to mankind the art of war, teaching them how to forge weapons, how to kill. Under his guidance, the first swords and shields were crafted, and with them came the first wars. He taught women the secrets of seduction, revealing how to adorn themselves, how to paint their faces, how to manipulate and tempt. He unlocked the forbidden mysteries of the heavens, showing mortals the hidden workings of creation, knowledge never meant for them to wield. And worst of all, he and the fallen Watchers took human women as their own, producing a monstrous hybrid race, the Nephilim, giants of unspeakable strength and cruelty. These beings dominated the earth, spreading chaos and terror, consuming all in their path. The world darkened, civilization crumbled under the weight of sin. Humanity, once innocent, became corrupt beyond redemption. And then, the heavens could stay silent no longer. A decree was given, a judgment pronounced. The archangel Raphael was sent to seize Azazel and end his reign of corruption. Bound in chains, he was dragged to the desolate wastelands and cast into a pit of jagged rock and unending darkness. He was sealed away, left to suffer until the final judgment. His influence had been purged from the world above. But was his story truly over? For deep within the abyss, where the fallen were cast, another presence awaited him, a presence that had once ruled among the stars. Lucifer. Azazel had corrupted the earth, but Lucifer claimed dominion over the underworld. He had forged himself into a king of the damned. But now, another fallen power had entered his realm. Could they coexist in the same infernal dominion? Or was a new war about to erupt, one for the throne of hell itself? Stay with me as we uncover the final battle between the two most powerful fallen beings in existence. Lucifer versus Azazel. Falling from the heights of heaven was not the end for Lucifer. It was only the beginning. He was no longer Lucifer, the light bringer. Now, he was Satan, the adversary. But the abyss was not empty. He was not alone. The angels who had followed him in defiance, the 1/3 of heaven's host who had dared to rise against the Almighty, were cast down as well. But instead of unity, instead of triumph, they found only ruin. What had once been a celestial army became a legion of the damned, bound in chains of their own making, chains of jealousy, rage, and torment. For they had lost everything, and they had no one to blame but themselves. Yet even as he roamed, even as he sought vengeance upon the creation that now bore the image of the one he had defied, Satan's rule was not unchallenged. For in the depths of another prison, another fallen being suffered his own punishment. Azazel. His name became synonymous with sin itself. In the days to come, on the Day of Atonement, the high priest of Israel would place his hands upon a sacrificial goat and symbolically transfer the sins of the people onto it, before sending it into the wilderness, to Azazel. He was the embodiment of all corruption, all wickedness, all transgression. But could such a being, so powerful, so defiant, be truly contained? Did his punishment end his influence? Or did his whispers still echo from the abyss, waiting for the day when his chains would break and he would rise once more? And more importantly, did Lucifer see him as an ally or as a rival? The throne of the underworld had no crown, no ruler, no law, only power. And power once lost must always be reclaimed. Stay with me as we unveil the next chapter in this eternal conflict. The abyss was vast, stretching beyond comprehension, a realm of endless torment, of shadows without light, of screams that echoed into eternity. It was in this place of the condemned that two of the most powerful fallen beings in existence found themselves. Lucifer, the once radiant morning star, now the prince of darkness, a deceiver, a ruler without a throne. And in a realm where only the strongest could rise, where no mercy existed, there could be only one ruler. Whispers of rebellion stirred through the abyss. The fallen angels, the legions of the damned, the spirits of the Nephilim, all who had been cast down now, looked to the two titans who stood before them. Lucifer, the great deceiver, moved among them, his voice like velvet, his words like poison. He promised power. He offered vengeance against the Creator who had forsaken them. He spoke of dominion, of a kingdom forged from the depths, a kingdom that would one day rise against the heavens themselves. But Azazel did not listen to words. He saw weakness in Lucifer's endless speeches. Where was his strength? Where was his wrath? Lucifer was a schemer, a manipulator, a being of pride and whispers. Azazel was something else. He was war. He was the one who had forged weapons for mankind, who had taught them to wage battle, to spill blood, to conquer without fear. Why then should he kneel before the fallen cherub? Why should Lucifer rule when he had already failed to claim the highest throne? Azazel, the Watcher, challenged Lucifer before the legions of the abyss. And in that moment, the flames of the pit burned brighter than ever before. A silence fell over the abyss. The battle that was about to take place would decide who among the fallen would command hell itself. And then, the battle began. The ground trembled as Lucifer unleashed his fury, summoning storms of black fire, his hands weaving destruction itself. Lightning cracked, the very air tore apart as the fallen cherub struck with all the power of a being who had once stood before the throne of God. But Azazel was not mortal. He was a warrior, a forger of weapons, a beast of war. He met Lucifer's attacks with raw might, his fists shattering the earth, his presence warping reality itself. The sky of the abyss ripped open as their battle waged on. Lucifer was cunning, dodging, countering, striking where Azazel was vulnerable. His power was deception, twisting the fabric of reality to his will. But Azazel was relentless, brutal in his assault, his blows shaking the very foundation of the underworld. He was the embodiment of warfare, and he fought not with schemes, but with sheer force. Each clash sent shockwaves through the abyss. The legions of the fallen watched, enthralled, waiting for one of these ancient powers to fall. But who would yield? Who would be forced to kneel? Lucifer, ever the tactician, knew he could not overpower Azazel with brute force. Instead, he changed the rules of the battle. He whispered into the abyss, summoning the very darkness itself. The spirits of deception, the twisted souls of the Nephilim, the corrupted watchers who had once followed Azazel, all turned against him. Azazel was powerful, but Lucifer controlled the very nature of lies and betrayal. The battlefield shifted. Azazel, once surrounded by warriors, now found himself alone. The creatures of the abyss had sided with Lucifer, their allegiance given not to strength, but to the promise of power beyond the pit. And in that moment, Azazel faltered. Lucifer struck. The morning star, the master of manipulation, twisted the chains of the abyss around Azazel once more, binding him in a prison even greater than before. Azazel, the great corrupter, the fallen watcher, had lost. Lucifer stood victorious. The legions of the damned bowed before their new king. Lucifer, prince of darkness, had claimed dominion. Hell was his. But his victory was not complete. For though Azazel was bound, he was not destroyed. His rage still burned, and the echoes of his power still rippled through the abyss. One day, perhaps, he would rise again. And when he did, the battle for Hell's throne would begin anew. But until then, Lucifer had won the first war. He had not conquered heaven, but he ruled the darkness, and he would use that power to corrupt the world above. For the battle between light and darkness was far from over. It had only just begun. Stay with me as we unveil the final mystery, Lucifer's reign, how the Prince of Darkness continues his war against the Almighty. As the echoes of the battle fade into the depths of the abyss, we are left with a question far greater than who reigns in hell. What does this story mean for us? These are not just stories of ancient angels. They are reflections of the choices we face every day. How often do we, like Lucifer, let pride blind us? How often do we seek power, control, and status at the cost of what is right? The fall of Lucifer is a warning that pride, unchecked, leads to destruction. Lucifer's rebellion is not just a past event. It is a repeating pattern, seen in history, in leaders, in nations, and in the hearts of individuals. And what of Azazel? His story warns us of the danger of temptation and deception. He did not act alone. He led others into sin. He corrupted those who followed him. How many times do we justify small wrongs, thinking they will have no consequences? How often do we convince ourselves that we know better than God, that we can walk our own path without Him? But Scripture reminds us, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Proverbs 14:12. Azazel's fate is a reminder that sin spreads, and that when we lead others into darkness, we are held accountable. Lucifer and Azazel both chose rebellion. They both chose defiance, and they both lost everything. But we are given a choice that they were not. We can choose humility over pride. We can choose righteousness over corruption. We can choose light over darkness. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. The battle is not just in the heavens. It is here. It is now. And it begins with us. And now, I turn the question to you. After everything we've explored, the pride of Lucifer, the corruption of Azazel, their ultimate fates, who do you think would truly reign supreme in the depths of the abyss? Would Lucifer, with his cunning and deception, always hold dominion? Or would Azazel, the master of warfare, rise again and challenge his rule? Could there ever be a true king of hell, or are they both merely prisoners of their own downfall? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Who would win this battle? And why? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden conflicts of biblical mythology, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another epic tale. We have more powerful and mysterious stories coming soon, tales of angels, demons, and the unseen war that continues to shape our world. Visit my channel to discover more powerful and mysterious stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and choose the path of light.